Welcome back to episode 2 of Little Treasure Cove. In case you missed last week's episode, I completely rethemed our entrance, while Zipperku added our first flat ride, and boy was it a masterpiece. As a cheeky recap, Little Treasure Cove is to be a full mini-park created without any DLC or TMTK, demonstrating how not even console can be seen as a limitation. My job today is to replace Plastic Swan's incredible Just a Memento, so I've got my work cut out. I decided to go for a big statement piece in the form of a lighthouse and keeper's cottage. Fun fact, I actually grew up in a lighthouse. Probably explains a lot about me as a person now. After giving the lighthouse a sturdy base, I then created a half level on a 45-degree angle. I do love to get complex. Next I made a start on the cottage, which will soon house our gift shop. I used stucco and castle walls. The top of the lighthouse was always going to be the most difficult. I started with a wooden base and then added some glass panes. I used wooden pillars as a frame to join the glass pieces. For some reason, the fences wouldn't place correctly by spinning them on the axis, so they had to be placed one by one. I popped a lid on top, ready to come back to later. I added a nice little extension onto the back of the shop and gave it a corrugated metal roof. Even I learnt things from watching the other creators in Little Rock Ridge. One of those techniques was using the wooden barn door as a wall. Terribly clever. I placed our all-important shop and then lined up the walls accordingly. From this point forward, a few staff members felt compelled to stand right in my way and watch me work. I added some custom decking out front using planks before making a start on my favourite pastime, adding trims. Next I popped down a couple of these lovely wooden scaffolding pieces. Loving what I did with the planks so much, I clad the shop in a similar style. I created some shelves out of, you guessed it, more planks. I continued the scaffolding around the edge of the build, adding a few stray poles to the ground. Our lighthouse wouldn't be very accessible without a door, even if it is just for show. I painted some windows to match the lighthouse and threw them at a wall. Despite having already given the building a trim, I simply couldn't stop myself from doing more. I gave our shop a cute little sign and then popped a lid on top. I used the decking as a nice fascia before adding a roof in the form of ridge tile. I hope you're excited for this week's guest. I'm excited, and I've known he was on board since September. The final doors and windows, and then it's time to decorate. I'd finally mustered up the courage to tackle the roof of the lighthouse. I created a cone-shaped design using many wooden pillars. I filled the hole with a basic shape and then gave the lighthouse some windows. I completed the lighthouse by popping a weather vane on top, the same weather vane from the entrance to Little Rock Ridge, as a nice homage. But enough romanticising, back to the clutter. The frugal guys and gals in head office decided that too much space was being taken up by offices, so they asked me to build a little pizza shack in the bottom of the admin block. After placing the pathing and shop, I lined the walls with wooden balcony pieces. I used columns and decking to frame the shop window. I popped some signage out front, but noticed a security guard walking through a solid wall, so I rectified it by popping a barrier in the way. That's right, it's time for another trim. Absolutely astonishing. I used our good old decking pieces once again to create a ceiling. Time for some lighting. I used box lights as downlighters and boosted them with an area light. I recoloured and placed some picnic benches before adding some exterior lighting. I attached some pirate-themed light boxes to the wall, and then used an area light to create the subtle glow you would usually get from fluorescence. Lastly, I created a plank footpath using planks. I know, groundbreaking. With my bits done, it's time for our next guest. The plot said guest will be building on was once home to Nerd Chacho's amazing B&M Flawless, Temper Starter. When it came to choosing someone to follow Nerd Chacho, it was no easy feat, but finally the choice became obvious. Coastercad is a legend builder in the Channel 5 gaming community, with creations such as Dragon Kingdom, the Netherlands for Wix's Duo contest, and most recently Mythgard for the Channel 5 Mini Park contest, in which he collaborated with FSF Ranger, our final guest from Little Rock Ridge. Without further ado, here he is to present his El Loco coaster, Treasure Quest.
Well, hey everyone, so Moon and Little Socks asked me to build something for Little Treasure Cove. As someone who was intrigued by his Little Rock Ridge series, I instantly said yes, without thinking twice what challenge this was gonna be. But well, the rules were quite simple. I built a realistic themed pirate coaster in a 27 by 11 square plot with only main game pieces. Yeah, that's no problem, right? Yeah, well, this might be a little problem, but well, I guess, you know, I can try something, right? Well, but if that wasn't hard enough, there was only one more challenge. I could only use 8,000 pieces, so yeah, talking about a challenge, right? Well, unlike you'd expect from someone with a name like Coastercad, I'm actually kind of horrible at building coasters. So right from the start I wanted to compensate it with theming, which is something I'm better at than coasters at least. I also wanted to use a compact coaster with short trains, so I could keep the boarding station really small and place it on the short side of the plot Moomin gave me. So that way I could leave some more room for you know, more theming and stuff like that. So in the end I went scrolling to the coasters. I guess the Looney Tunes coaster, yeah, it's really compact with small cars, so you know, I guess that would be the best option for this build. So I went looking on my best friend Google for some pirate inspiration. I stumbled across a picture of a Lego set on which I based compositions of the buildings that you can see on the top of the lift hill. And the Lego building also had a really cool bridge to a high rock. And well, since building bridges is one of my favorite things to do in playing code, it was a nice inspiration for the bridge I made that comes after the lift hill. I also came across a nice picture of a pirate watchtower, in which I based the tower that you can see that comes right after the bridge. Also, I mainly used the Lego set I talked about for the composition of the upper parts. And when I got the first 3 buildings ready, I started on theming the lift hill, so I knew how much room I got left for more buildings on the outside of the lift hill. And after that I basically finished the rest of the layout of the coaster, which I don't want to waste too much words on, because well, you know, I'd rather talk about theming and not my horrible coasters. When the coaster layout was done, I started building my way down from the top towards the coaster station. At this point I also started to add windows, doors, props and lots of clutter. Well, pirate themed cluttering turned out to be really fun in the end. I mean, who doesn't like the ropes and bells, right? So, but at this point I was still a bit worried about the 8,000 piece count, so I started to figure out how to save pieces. For example, I used crates as windows and the pirate hanging skeleton plank, yeah, which is, if you turn the thing around, it's basically a plank, and I use that for building parts. And it turns out that it's a great texture and it's really versatile, and I never really used that piece for anything else than just a hanging skeleton. But so yeah, I'm still learning new things here as well, which is great. Well, from here on I started to use the Pirate Fortress building pieces, some landscaping and some small buildings to close things off. Fortunately, I started worrying about the waiting line and exit right from the start, which, if you don't plan in early, they can be a real problem. Yes, you can trust me on that. I've been there, so don't forget about your queue lines and exits. So, well, because I had planned them so early, the queue line and the exit weren't too much of a problem. I think they worked out pretty well. I also really had fun theming the queue line. There's also a little extra bonus in the waiting line actually. You have to give up your spot in line for a bit if you want to see it, but who knows, maybe it's worth it. So I usually don't do custom supports. It's not for me, I'm sorry guys. But for this build I actually had to figure out some because there was a bit of flying track and some really ugly supports that were messing up the views. So I guess I did some custom ones and also some themed ones, but I'm not sure they are very much realistic, but hey. So the rest of the build was super fun really. When most was done I actually had quite a few pieces left for foliage details. More ropes and bells, the deal. I added some music boxes and even some triggers on the coaster, so I hope everyone likes this little mess of pirate clutter. So thank you everyone, and see you around.
Coastercad is not known for doing anything by halves, and this is certainly no exception. Easily one of the best Looney Tunes I've seen in the game, and an absolute honour to have it in Little Treasure Cove. And there we have it, another episode done, and our park has its first of 2 coasters. Who knows what will happen next week? You'll just have to wait and see.